Let's look at Form 3, Term 3 or end of year 2025 Computer Studies Paper 1. So remember, in Computer Paper 1, we usually have Section A, which consists of question 1 to 15, and then we have Section B from question 16 to 20, whereby you are supposed to choose some questions. So question number 1, define the term scrolling. Now, what do you understand by the terms to scroll when you are talking about moving a document? So when you talk about scrolling, this is basically moving across the page. And rather, you can just say that scrolling is the action of moving content vertically or horizontally. Remember, we have the horizontal and the vertical scroll bars. So it is moving content vertically or horizontally within a window. Or even if you say moving content vertically or horizontally, it's okay. Then we have the next question. Explain two uses of UPS. And UPS here, UPS is an interruptible power supply unit. So what are the two uses of UPS? So UPS is used to alert the user that power is off. UPS can be used to moderate or regulate power so that we avoid destruction or short-circuiting of the system. So let's see what the scheme says. And the scheme is telling us that for backup during outages, UPS provide temporary power to devices like computers, servers, routers, etc. And also, it allows you to save work, before the system can go off. Also, protection, that is protecting the system from that is destruction, as we have said. Then we have how can you open a document stored on a flash disk? So basically you insert the flash disk to the system, then this flash disk, many of flash disk will auto open the flash, then you can just access the folder and double click. So there are many ways of answering that question. List 4 types of paragraph alignment. How can you align a paragraph? Now, if you look at my screen here, you can have the align left align. You can have center. You can also have right align or right, and then you have justified. So those are the answers that you expect there. Then state 4 facilities that will ensure proper ventilation in the computer laboratory. So you can have big windows, you may have the fans, proper spacing of the facilities, and also avoid overcrowding. So you can also look at the scheme, what the scheme says, number 4. So you can have facilities like a proper ventilation. Okay, we have large doors, windows, fans, avoid congestion. You can have the air conditioning system and also the air vents. Then we also have the next question, number 5. In the year 2020, when coronavirus was declared a pandemic internationally, most companies allowed employees to telework or work at home or work from home and communicate with the office using the internet. So list 3 hardware, software, and services required to access and use the internet. So the question here is list hardware, software, and services required to access and use the internet. So basically, this is a form 2 question, So you can have computer, you may use your smartphone, your tablet, you can use your modem, you can use your router. Those are the hardware. You can also add something like some people may use SetRate. Then you have the web browser. Some of the softwares, we have web browsers like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, we have Safari etc. We also have operating system. You can use Windows, Android, Mac, Linux, then network, drivers, etc. Those are some of the software. For the services, you need to have an email client or email service like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail or Outlook. Then you can also have internet service provider. These are guys who will provide you with the internet. And then you have the domain name system. This is the addresses that identify you. This is a way of identifying you in the internet. For example, if you want to access the Kenya Nation Examination Council website, you can go www.nec.ac. So those are the domain names we are talking about here. Then state two purposes of a word processor. Now for you to answer such a question, the first thing is to understand what is a word processor. A word processor is different from word processing. A word processor is a program that does word processing. So the purposes of word processor, you are being asked the purposes of the program that does word processing. So a word processor helps you to create documents, type, save, print, search. So number 6, you can also proceed to number 6 and see. So here it's reading number 7, but it is creating documents, editing, spell checking, inserting images, saving and printing, and collaboration and sharing. You can share whatever you have done using a word processor. State two differences between electronic spreadsheet and manual spreadsheet. Now the spreadsheet, when you talk about a spreadsheet, it is just a grid pattern of rows and columns where you can insert data and analyze it. For example, Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is a very good example of electronic spreadsheet. So when you take your ruler, your pen or pencil, and then you draw boxes or columns and rows, then you feed data there. That is a manual spreadsheet. So what is the difference? The difference is that one, the electronic spreadsheet is based on an electronic device, e.g. a computer or a phone, whereas a manual spreadsheet is the use of books, plain papers, and then you draw grid pattern there, then feed the data. So this one, number one is then name and explain the function of the keyboard keys represented by the following symbols. Number one, we have the tab key. The function is to indent or move text few millimeters from the margins. Then we have enter or return. This one is used to execute or OK. Then we have the shift key. The shift key is used to toggle or to switch from capital letters to small letters, or rather lowercase to uppercase. Distinguish between the following sets of terms as used in spreadsheets: filtering and sorting, formula and function, label and value. Now, filtering is extracting data that meet a certain condition or criteria. For instance, you want to get students who scored more than 80%. That one you are doing filtering. Where, on the other hand, sorting is arranging data in ascending or descending order. For instance, you want to see students according to how they performed. That is the marks, total marks. So you can start with the highest to the lowest. That is sorting. The difference between a formula and a function is that a function is a formula. That means formula is the general term. But to differentiate them, a formula is a mathematical expression that solves a problem, while a function is a user-defined formula. That means it is the user who defines the formula. Label is also called alphanumeric. Label is a mixture of numbers and text, or text. You can just say text. Text, something like a car number plate, KBX, blah, 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 101P. That one is a label because it's a mixture of, it's alphanumeric rather, or text. Value is strictly a number. It is a number between, you can talk about a number between 0 and 1. So, an aggregate company wants to analyze its employees' personal details using MS Excel. The company has 7 employees as labeled there, and their ages, the ages is given there, their salaries is given there. Now, Mary is in production department. You have been given the departments they are in. So what is the question? Construct a worksheet showing the above information using appropriate column headings. So basically this one, you just have to take a ruler and a pencil and then you draw so that you can draw the columns and the rows. Then you interpret the data accordingly. Now from the created worksheet, write down the formula to calculate the total salaries. So the total salaries should be equals to sum. You take the first value, full colon, the last value, and then you cross the bracket. The rest goes the same. So question number 13, that is called an application question, that is question 12. Explain the following graphic terms as used in DTP. We have group, rotate, crop, skewing. So in question number 13, this is all about the DTP. So grouping is actually combining 2 or more objects into a single unit. The purpose is for easy movement or formatting. Where to rotate is turning an object around a fixed point. For example, you may rotate it to 270 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 degrees. Skewing is slanting or distorting an object along its horizontal vertical axis. So skewing is just slanting, or rather somebody may just say distorting or distortion, giving it a distortion. Give 4 methods of data correction. Now this one is a nice question. Data correction, methods of data correction. Those ones are easier. So you can talk about interviews, observation. You can talk about reading existing documents, automated methods like camera, etc. So list 2 main types of errors in data processing. Errors in data processing. Remember here we usually have a lot of transcription errors, computation errors, algorithm errors, etc. Now mention 2 features of a real-time system. Now real-time, this means that the results are almost immediately. So what are the features of a real-time system? So number 1 is immediate response to input. Another one is continuous monitoring and control. Remember, systems need the sensors to avoid a situation whereby a delay may result to an accident or an unfortunate incident. Highlight 2 types of low-level programming languages. This is Form 3. So you usually have the usually have the machine and assembly language. A machine and assembly language. Question number 16. Now remember, when we reach section B, never answer all the questions because you'll be wasting time. Number 2, just never leave question 16 blank because the question is very clear. Answer question 16. It should be answer question 16 into bracket compulsory. What is an algorithm? Write any 3 characteristics of an algorithm. So an algorithm, this is just series of steps that are followed when solving a problem. So features of a good algorithm, it should be unambiguous. That means should be straight to the point. Should not have more than one meaning. should be slanting for easy readability, should have an input and also an output, should have start and also stop. List down 4 characteristics of a good algorithm. I've answered that. Write a structured algorithm and flow chart that would be used by an organization to give a volunteer job to people. If person's age is equal to 18, display the message eligible for role if the age is equal to that. Otherwise, that way. So the question should actually read that you write an algorithm to give people feedback of either eligible or not eligible, depending whether the person is that is greater or equal to 18 years old. So basically, that one is just a simple flowchart. So start, enter age, then you store it in A. Is A, that is the age, greater or equal to 18? If yes, eligible for the role. If no, not eligible for the role. And then the system stops. So it's just as simple as given there. Then list 3 program control structures. You usually have sequence, usually have looping or repetition, and then usually have selection. So when you talk about selection, just as like the word goes, selection, this one checks if a condition is true or false. For example, if age is greater or equal to 18, yes. If not, no. So you can see we are selecting yes or no. Whereas when we talk about sequence, though not so much used, it means that a system must run from a certain point to a certain point. For example, from A to Z, following a certain order. Then when we talk about repetition, a condition is checked, and if the condition is not met, a certain action takes place, like an increment. Then the condition is checked again, and then, for example, an increment, and then goes on. Like, for example, an ATM, when you go to withdraw money from the ATM first checks for your balance. If the balance is equal to the threshold, the required threshold, then you are asked for the amount. Rather, the ATM ejects the ATM system, machine ejects your ATM and gives you a message, insufficient funds. Then we have state 2 disadvantages of high-level languages. We are talking about high-level languages. Remember, high-level languages, these are languages close to human language, like English, like. They are very close. So number one of the disadvantages is that it must be interpreted for the machine to understand in comparison to machine language that computer understands straight. Also, this one consumes a lot of memory because they use compilers. Now let's see what the scheme says. So we have the disadvantages. We have these were the answers for the other one. So they are slower, just like I have said. They have to be interpreted, and also they are far away from the language that machine understands. Also, don't forget that they consume a lot of memory since they need compilers. List the 3 advantages of a word processor over a typewriter. Now, when we talk about advantages, a word processor have thousands of advantages over a typewriter. A typewriter was a mechanical machine, whereas a word processor is an electronic machine. So word processor offers neat work, duplicates, it may keep work for future reference because it has memory, and also it may be in a position to email. You can email the work. It has features like mail merge. So there are thousands of answers that you can give in this question. What is the difference between moving text and copying text? This is a very good question. When you talk about copying, it is to duplicate. You give a copy, exact copy. But when moving, you don't really duplicate. You can cut, you can really transfer this work from one place to the other without leaving a duplicate. but when copying, you are moving while leaving a duplicate. Distinguish between autocomplete and autocorrect feature in word processing. Just like the word going autocorrect, this means when you make a mistake, it is automatically corrected. For instance, when you start a sentence with a small letter and press spacebar, the system automatically capitalizes the first letter of the word. When you leave a full stop, it will underline in red, telling you that there is an error here. But autocomplete is a situation whereby the system automatically completes your phrase. For instance, yours, it completes faithfully, yours sincerely. You see? To. When you write to, the computer completes for you to whom it may concern. That is autocorrect, autocomplete. There is also auto-entry. Then we have defined the line spacing and give any four line spacing specifications. Now, line spacing is the difference, it's the space between the sentences. For instance, if you look at the lines here, this is line spacing. This one, this line, the gap between this sentence and this sentence. And the types of line spacing, we have the following. We have single, 1.0. We have 1.15. We have 1.5. We have 2.0. You can see them. These are the line spacing we are talking about. So we have single, double, triple, such. 1.5. Mention three situations where save as command is used. Guys, if you look at this point here, we have save and we have save as. You see? Save and save as. Now, save as is used in three circumstances. Number one, when you are saving a document for the first time. Number two, when you are changing location. For instance, I had saved my file in my system, computer, and I want to put it in a flash disk. So I usually go File, Save As, I change location. Number three, when you are renaming a document. I had saved my document as computer. Now I want to call it electronic device. So you must go File, Save As, you delete the previous name and put the new name, then click on Save. Now for the calculations, guys, here, this one is all about yourself. I may not be in a position to calculate here, but do practice. In mathematics, it is practice, practice, make perfect. Now, outline the stages of data correction. Now, this is in Form 3. Then, using illustration, describe the 4 primary stages of data processing cycle. Now, this is question number 19. Question number 19. So, for that one, that is for the data processing cycle. Here, you remember you usually have the input, you go the way we have output, then you that is the input output search, then you go all the way up to you get. So basically, when you talk about the data processing cycle, you see now we have now you first of all correct data correction, then there is data input, then you have processing, and then you have the output. So this just refers to the how you correct data all the way to the output. So these are the steps. So you usually have the data correction, then we go to data input, then we go to processing, output, then the cycle repeats itself just like you can see from the material there. So that is how you're supposed to illustrate. Explain 2 types of transcription errors. So here again, still on the same note, we have now the errors here. So it's also good for me to take you through these transcription errors. So transcription errors here, we have misreading errors. This is where you misread. Like now, 589, somebody write S86 instead. You see now, S, you confuse S and 5. That is misreading. Then you have transposition, 396, you write 369. So we usually have misreading errors, and we have transposition, you have transposition errors. Those are the errors there. Then, these 3 factors to determine data integrity. So we have the timeliness, accuracy, and we have accuracy, timeliness, and there is also, can still run up to there. We have accuracy, timeliness, and relevance. See, these are the answers. So data integrity, we have accuracy, we have timeliness, and relevance. So data must be relevant, must be time bound, and must be accurate for that matter. Then here we have explain 3 requirements to get into the internet connection. So we said we have the internet service provider. We have the browsers, we have the hardware, that is, we have the computer, you can talk about modem, router, etc. So here the requirements, you can either classify them like we had seen there. We had a domain system, internet service providers, modem, you have the router, etc. What is a blog? A blog is just a personal website where somebody posts his or her own feelings. Then you have web surfing. It's also called web browsing. It is going through the internet. It's just searching things and reading them or downloading them from the internet. Then a web browser is a software that allows you to access the internet, e.g. Google Chrome. We have Mozilla Firefox, Safari, etc. A website is a collection of web pages. A web page is a single page in the website. So a website is a collection of web pages. A web portal, this is a page where people update news, chat rooms, etc. Then we have list 2 advantages and disadvantages of electronic mails over regular mails. Remember, electronic mails are emails. People know them as emails. Emails are faster, whereas regular mails are slower. We call them snail mail. They are small. This one can be protected. This one may not be protected fully because somebody may tamper with it. A vehicle may have accident. They may be burned, etc. Then we have identify situations whose email addresses end with the following extensions. So institutions, that is, sorry. This is organization. This is education. This is commercial agencies. This is network services. This is military services. This is government services. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. You can also access or reach me via the WhatsApp number there for online classes or for more inquiry about computer studies.